Dun 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 dun. This is The Widow's Shadow by Florisam. This is a game about a widow mourning her husband's loss, trying to deal with the prying eyes of the public and the prying eyes of her own heart. Perhaps a shadow lurking just out of sight of Willow. Is it a reflection of her, or is it something more? Perhaps we shall find out. There's a lot to be concerned with here. There's, in terms of content warnings, we're dealing with death, domestic abuse, murder, gaslighting, cheating, monsters, spider imagery, war, drugging, stabbing, blood, choking. Quite a bit. This is by, Florisam. Artist, writer, film graduate. I don't think I've played anything that they've put out before. They did work on Beta Over, which we played the O2A2 jam by Husband Goddess. They did the sprites for that game and the art. And this just has a very powerful aesthetic to it. It's all in black and white. It's all monochrome color palette, so to speak. And just from looking at the screenshots, it's a perfect fit for the tone that this game seems to be telling, to be providing. So, death, in the end, it gets us all. It's an inevitability we're all aware of, yet we try, hopelessly, to ignore it. The war exposed us all to the fragility of life, leaving only carcasses of the people we once knew. Friends, family, lovers, gone forever. Even though the war ended a few years ago, its remnants are still felt. We try to return to our lives to blind ourselves to the final fate of it all. But in the end, death gets us all. And for some, that ending arrives unexpectedly, much earlier than it should. I can't believe it. He's truly gone. I just visited his clinic last week, and nothing was wrong. How could this happen? Never before had I met someone as caring as him. He was so young, too. May God bless his soul. It's true, he was the only one who actually took my illness seriously. Without him, I may as well be the one in that coffin. You know, I've been wondering about his death. Hush! His wife is coming this way. Ooh. She actually... Keep your distance, I heard. Is that true? I knew something. The townspeople continued chattering behind me. I know they're discussing me, but their words grow distant as I look at the cadaver of my late husband. His face no longer shows any sign of life. His skin is pale as the moon above us. It seems cruel that the world has taken such a beloved man and left his worthless wife instead. Oh. How? Just how am I meant to go on? Tears slips down my cheek and onto the casket. Without him, I'm no one. I may as well vanish from existence. As the whispers around me dissipate, the funeral continues. God, that... Only 3 days have passed since the funeral. I have not left the house since then. These sprites are... Sprite is really good. It's not unusual. Rather, it was the norm, even when my husband was still alive. After all, I had to take care of the chores around the house and prepare things for when he returned from work. There was barely any reason for me to go out. But now that he's no longer here, the silence in the room is more noticeable than ever. I still remember when I found his body, his hand slowly releasing its grasp from his shirt as he took his last breath. It was too late for me to do anything. Once more I was unhelpful, even when it mattered most. Oh god, we are like less than 5 minutes in, and I'm already very concerned. just in how she's talking about herself in this internal narration. Everything afterwards is a blur, but his face is burned into my mind, contorted in an expression that I had never seen on him before. One of helplessness. Bring a hand to my chest. The air around me feels suffocating. It'd be good to get groceries. I'm running out of eggs already. A simple excuse to get out of the room. The afternoon sun is covered by a multitude of clouds, but that hasn't seemed to stop the townspeople from spending time outside. I can feel their eyes on me as soon as I exit the house, but I try to ignore them. Is that the doctor's wife? Oh my, it is her. It's rare to see her outside, wouldn't you agree? Absolutely, but don't stare at her too much. You would not believe the things I've heard. Oh, now I must know. A knot forms in my throat. No matter how much I try to block out their voices, they're too loud to ignore. I saw her at the funeral the other night. I'm sure I saw her hide a smile. Unbelievable. If I may, how'd the doctor die again? They said heart failure, but I don't think she could have. You know. My body tenses upon hearing them, upon understanding what they mean. I bet she did. Frankly, I think she was just disappointed the war didn't take him away. She probably wanted to keep his money all to himself. That's not true. Maybe she was getting tired of married life. From what I hear, it didn't sound like she actually loved him at all. That's not true. I saw her husband looking very worried not too long ago. Do you think he expected this? Well, he was always going on about how he thought his wife was going to kill him. That's not true! Overwhelmed by the words that surround me, I hurry my pace, desiring nothing more than to get away. I run and run, the judgment in their voices still ringing in my ears. They think I killed him. I shouldn't have left the house, but it feels so painful to stay inside. Now, perhaps the whole world will be filled with suffering for me. I press on until I forget my destination, not paying attention to my surroundings anymore. I finally stop to catch my breath, my legs aching from the sudden exercise. These clothes are not made for running, nor my shoes, nor is my body. Only once I regain my breath do I notice that the ground beneath my feet is no longer stone. I lift my head slightly and notice that, in my panic, I've stumbled into a forest. I don't remember there being any forests nearby. I turn around to try and retrace my steps back to where I came from, but I only see more trees behind me. This isn't good. How will I return home? Looking forward once more, I notice a clear path between the trees. I wonder if perhaps it could take me somewhere I can ask for directions. As I walk through the trees, a curious shape makes itself visible in the distance. A rather small building stands out at the end of the path. A house, here of all places. At that moment, approaching it seems like my best bet to find someone who can aid me. With light steps, as my legs still ache from before, I walk the path toward the house. It takes some time, but eventually I make it to the house. The building is unlike any other I have seen. Its walls and windows twist and turn in strange ways, never upright. As I observe the place, I take notice of something unexpected. A group of people are having a lively chat just outside the house. Oh? There's an odd feeling inside me as I watch from close by. I have seen them before. They're people from town. What are they doing in a place like this? My eyes wander to a strange-looking man. Something about him is different from the rest. Oh, thank you so much for taking care of me, Doctor. I'm feeling much better ever since I first visited you. Please, there's no need to thank me. I'm just glad I could be of help. If you feel any side effects from your new medicine, do let me know as soon as possible, all right? You're so humble, too. We're truly blessed to have you in this town. It's such a shame you're already spoken for. Oh-ho! I walk a bit closer to take a better look at them. Upon laying my eyes on the face of that strange individual, I finally recognize him. That's my husband! Oh, you're too kind, but don't let my wife hear that. But he died! How could he be here, standing in front of me? Though, that hair, it isn't anything he's had before. Could I be confusing him with someone else? Ah, but his face is identical. And they even mentioned he's a doctor. What is going on? Ah. It isn't my darling wife. Wife? So it is him? But how can this be? Why are you making that face, love? Are you perhaps not happy to see me? Of course, this is the greeting I get from you. I shouldn't have gotten my hopes up. Ah, I'm sorry. I don't understand. This man, who is supposedly my husband, leans in and lowers his voice. You've always got your head in the clouds. Who knows what kind of crazy thoughts you're having right now? The least you could do is not embarrass me in front of my patients. Oh! There are 3 endings to this game, and, very chilling. And as always, I'm going to shoot for not the best ending the first go, so hence, I'm sorry, that wasn't my intention. And this feels like the obvious route to not the best ending. Even though I've already apologized, I instinctively do it once more. For years, it's just been an automatic reaction. It's the easiest way out. Yeah, yeah. It was immediately clear that her husband is... I'm not going to dance over it. He's been, at minimum, emotionally abusing his wife. And just opening 5 minutes of internal monologue. You can see how much he's internalized that. Oof. I'll forgive you this time, since I'm feeling generous. Even he is just like him, despite the changes in his appearance. Ooh, that's concerning. Yeah, yet he shouldn't be here, or anywhere else for that matter. Is this real? Now I'm starting to doubt if this is the road to the worst ending or not. Because given that this is how he is, I'm afraid to see what happens if we speak out against him. Very afraid. My gaze wanders from my husband to the strange house behind him. Everything around me seems uncanny. In terms of choices that will obviously lead to a bad ending, maybe I am going crazy after all. What am I meant to do now? I close my eyes, dreading the thoughts that barrel into my head as fast as bullets. Fear strikes me as I wonder just what may happen if I truly have lost my mind. When I open my eyes again, the man and the villagers are no longer there. What? Take a look around me, trying to see if they have hidden somewhere. Yet there's no sign of them. My eyes fall upon the door once more. Perhaps I will find out more about this place if I go inside. I gather enough courage to knock. The door opens unexpectedly before my knuckles can even strike it once. Hello? A voice echoing through the walls of the house flows out the door. Come in, I've been waiting for you. Waiting? Part of me is terrified, wondering what I'm getting myself into. And yet despite this, I don't hesitate to take a step forward and enter the house. Ooh. This house in the woods is has a delightfully uncannily abstract nature to it. It has to be intentional. It's dark only for a moment before the inside of the house reveals itself. By surprise, the space before me is much larger than it seems from the outside. Walls extend far beyond what I would have imagined it could fit within them. Take another step deeper inside, even as anxiety builds within me. There's no one around. Just where'd that voice come from? Triggered by my thoughts, the lights go out. Ah! My eyes adapt to the darkness. At least there's still some light from the windows. At last, the devil is dead. A sudden voice calls out, the same as before, but this time so much clearer. There's an odd familiarity in that voice, one that I can't quite place. A shadow is cast on the steps, coming from me, and its form begins to change. That's a chain around your wrist. The lights turn on again, blinding me for just a second. Oh, hello there. Horns, chains, spiderweb dress. Where the shadow was before, there is now a woman. At last, you're here. I've been waiting for you for so long. Oh, so long. We have to celebrate. Huh? Celebrate? Wait, who are you? Something strange about this woman, not only in the way she dresses and in her mannerisms, but also in her voice. It sounds just like my own, exactly the same that I hear. Me? Oh, love, you haven't figured it out yet. I'm you. Huh? Don't be ridiculous. I'm me. You can't be me. Right? My, you're quite slow. The woman in front of me raises her veil. Oh, I am your shadow. What? Your face? It's just like mine. You're finally understanding. I am the truest, most honest version of you there is. No, it's like looking into a mirror. Even if we look the same, her attitude is nothing like mine. Ooh. Ooh, with veil off, that comparison is striking. Light versus dark clothes. The smug grin, eyebrows raised, arms open, versus holding herself tightly, expression pensive, eyebrows raised in concern. Very striking. However, I'm getting quite tired of having to explain myself. Let's move on to celebrations, shall we? What celebration? Did you not hear me the first time? The death of that devil, of course. Or in cleaner terms, the death of our husband. What? Oh, I've waited so long for that man to croak. How could you say that? Why do you look so sad? This is what you wanted, isn't it? You should be happy. Did you feel joy? Seeing life abandon his body? Seeing him lose his strength and keel over? Seeing him die? Because of you? Stop! How dare you say such things? I loved him. He was my husband. You do know that those things don't have to correlate, right? Implying I killed him. I'd never have done that. You have no idea how much it hurt to lose him. I'm nothing like you. Huh. You're quite pathetic, aren't you? Fine, we can leave the festivities for later. Since you're having such a hard time accepting this, perhaps I'll give you a little more time. Behind me, the door slams shut. Don't even try. That door is locked tight. Why? It's much too early for you to leave. Feel free to explore the house. I'm sure you'll find plenty of interesting things in the shadows. See you later. With those words, the shadow vanishes from view, leaving me alone in this strange house. There's little choice on what to do next. I could just wait here, but perhaps I should do as she says. The thought of what I might find frightens me. Take a deep breath and head down the first hallway I see. Entering the windowless hallway, I notice how it stretches toward a never-ending void. Turn to go back the way I came, only to see that the archway I entered through has vanished. Please, no. Hello? Are you still there, Shadow? As I call and scream for help, my voice is muted, sucked in by the darkness and lost to all but me. No, this can't be my tomb. The harrowing creak of a door opening in the far distance draws my attention. As I gaze upon what lies before me, the end of the hallway feels far, impossibly far, but it's also the only respite available. I guess I have no choice. With each step I take, the end seems to draw further and further away, and the door never comes into view. Huh? What's that? Something catches my eye up ahead. I rush over to get a better look. A large framed photo hangs on the wall. Staring down at me, craning my neck, I see two more further along the wall. Looking back to the photo before me, I see myself and him together on our wedding day, smiling. I still remember our vows. I promise to be your honest and faithful loving wife for the rest of my days. I vow to dedicate myself to your happiness and success. My love for you is forever. It's comforting, remembering this moment in time when we were both happy. The happiness didn't last long. Our first big fight was the night after the reception. Not wanting to wallow in my memories of him, I move on to the next hanging frame. Where did you go? There you are. I found you. Next pictured silhouette stares down at me. My old friend from life before marriage. We'd known each other since our youth. Hide and seek was our favorite game to play in the woods behind our homes. She was always supportive of the things I wanted to do, where I wanted to go, who I wanted to spend the rest of my life with. If you say he's the one for you, then he's the one for you. I hope you will be happy together. I wish you my love and all the best in your future. I hope you've been well, my friend. It's been so long since we last spoke. I often wonder where she is now. My memory fails to remind me of how and why our friendship ended. We were so close for so long. The cries of a baby pull me to the last framed photo. It wouldn't surprise me if it was just a married life with the husband. It's very clear that she hasn't left the house in some time. She's been entirely a housewife. It was very possible that, one, she just had no reason to leave, and so just naturally drifted apart by lack of contact. And two, I vaguely recall it being a thing that when you're in an abusive situation for long periods of time, it can, like, legitimately fuck with your memory. So the closer I get, the louder the cries become. So that feels legit. It's haunting. Look at the final photo and see a reminder of the nursery my husband and I had prepared only a couple of years ago. It was still early. I had yet to conceive, but we were nonetheless excited to welcome a new addition into our lives. I wish for a world where you could have joined me. Wanting to distract myself from my thoughts, I continue onwards. Light breaks through the darkness as I made it to a slightly open door at the end of the hallway. Finally, a way out. My darling, you've made ample headway. I hear my husband's voice seeping through from the next room. How is he here? Careful. If you progress too quickly, you won't have a reason to see me anymore. Is he talking to me? Nope, he's talking to another girl. Before we were wed, he used to speak to me like this. It was charming. At least I found it so. That is... Or maybe he is, alright. That was when I met his patient. That was how we met, but... That doesn't make sense. The woman's laughter echoes into the hallway. Of course he was speaking to someone else. He hasn't spoken to me in that way in years. Doctor, you're too funny. There's a reason I come here so often. Maybe I can find another ailment to rid you of. I draw closer to the door, peering through the crack. Oh no. Sure enough, I see my husband in the next room, his home office. At least, the man who claimed to be him. He draws near to the only other person in the room and leans over her, closer than any patient would be comfortable with. And yet it's clear she's not moving away anytime soon. It won't be hard. I am positive you'll find a multitude upon further examination. She smiles seductively at him, encouraging him to continue. Was he like this with all his patients? And I just happened to be the first. Uh-oh. What's going on? The quick disappearance of the woman surprises me, but only momentarily. The fact that I see my husband standing before me, a version of him, shakes me much worse. Darling, couldn't you see that I was with a patient? I've told you before. When I'm working, you are not to enter my office. Whether this man is real or not, he certainly sounds like my husband. And that tone, his manner of speech, it's as if he's here with me again. There's a definite route I'm going down here to get the worst out of the way first. He's right, this is all part of his job. I shouldn't have jumped to conclusions. We do need to question him and pillory his fucking ass, but still. Who is that woman? I don't understand what's so unclear. She's a patient, nothing more. If you're worried because you were also my patient in the past, then you do well to remember that you're the one I married. This is I suppose the core of this choice is confidence versus submissiveness? It's true. I should count my blessings that he chose me. But now I question what sort of woman I've married. Look at the mess around the house. Have you done any cleaning at all today? Well, there's a lot going on here. I always do. Knowing how to respond, I hold my tongue. When my husband was alive, I always cleaned. It was part of my wifely duties. I'd spend less time eavesdropping and more time taking care of our home. I often wish there was a way to show him just how much I did for us. I don't have time to oversee both my own work and that of my wife. Do you ever take into account how tired I am at the end of my day? I do, but perhaps not enough. Well, that's all. You may return to your daily tasks. You'd best get started considering how much you've been dilly-dallying. Even when I did finish all my work, he'd find more for me to do. He was never short of ways to keep me busy. My dude, you didn't want a wife, you wanted a slave. Fuck's wrong with you, man? Those words feel dismissive. I find comfort in his tone. Oh, this is... I don't... Still, something continues to eat away from me, at me. That woman. I've seen her at our home before, during his off hours. When he courted me, he was not married, but now... Despite his marital status, she continues to return for his services, like a leech that's forever hungry for more. Thoughts race through my mind, churning as questions of my husband's faithfulness return to haunt me. Why did he not refuse her advances? Was he looking to replace me? Or his assurances of love riddled with lies? Look back at the woman in the mirror. Does she not see me standing here? Oh. Your patient. She has returned. I see her in the mirror, seeking your attention. Why has she returned so soon? She was just here. He sighs, looks at the mirror, then back at me. And if annoyance taints his face. You mustn't be well, my dear. I don't know what you see, but the only people in this reflection are the two of us. No, he's wrong. She's right there. Gaslighting? Perhaps you're imagining things again. You know how prone you are to seeing and hearing things that aren't there. Yet there it is. When the mirror turns to stare at me, a wide smile creeps across her face, as if she has successfully lured my husband away. But she's right there. Can you really not see her? Stop your nonsense this instant. He waves me away, but I can't stop myself from looking at the woman. Her chilling smile and soulless eyes bore through me. She couldn't have been the only one. He takes note that I have yet to depart. How many times do I have to tell you that she is not here? You must see her too. Tell me she's real. There is no one. I shut my eyes tight, shielding myself. Upon opening my eyes, I see that she has disappeared. Even when she leaves, I know she'll come back, time and time again, and just to see you. Of course she will. I'm her doctor. Is that where it stops? Quit making up stories in your head. If there's nothing going on, then why does she come by so often? Even when you retire for the evening. The more I speak my mind, the more I feel myself shake. It's scary, but something within me pushes me to power through. Memory surges through me. I think I felt this way before, but I know more than once. She can't have so much ailing her that she can simply visit whenever she pleases. Drop it. Now! Woman, can you not see that I am devoted to you? Oh, you're so devoted in making your little task lists. Shit. Who do you think I work for so hard for? I keep food on the table and a roof over our heads. There's no one else I am married to. I recoil at this outburst. The anger at his face makes me question my previous actions. Can't bear to look at him. Do not see how much I do for us. And here you are accusing me of outrageous things while you laze around, doing absolutely nothing. This is far from the first time he's raised his voice. I never expected to experience this again, let alone so soon. Thought I'd buried these feelings when I buried them. I buried him. I hear him breathing heavily, seething through his teeth. For a moment, he clears his throat. I know this is him attempting to regain composure. My dear, look at me. Slowly, I open my eyes. His regular expression has returned, softer than before. Come, let me help ease your mind. I take a step toward him, but stop when he reaches for his medicine cabinet. Come here. This is for you and your well-being. Look at the medication that lies in his palm. I hesitate. My gaze returns to the mirror. I'm going for worst ending, but I can't bring myself to do that. I know my mind is not failing me. I know what I saw. I stand my ground, making it known that I do not plan on ingesting any more of his medicine. How do I know that these drugs aren't what that caused me to see those supposed hallucinations? He continues to stare at me sternly. Finally, he shrugs and places the pills back in the bottle. You don't know what others in town say about you and your episodes. Administering these pills is my way of protecting you. Darling, try to understand the position you've put me in. Do you not see how you make me behave? Fuck this dude. Fuck, he's throwing a bolt. Fuck, blazing bright red fucking... Oh. Oh. Fuck, man. Oh, God. Fuck, this is prime... This is prime fucking cycle of abuse. God, as someone who's been on the receiving end of lines like this, growing up, God. Oh. I'm only this way when we're together. No one else pushes me to my limit quite like you. You've changed. You weren't always like this. I'm only telling you these things because I love you. Why must you continue to question me? What I do, how I am? If you truly love me as much as I love you, you'd let me be. You'd trust me, just as I trust you to take care of our home in my absence. That's a loaded... I do love you. And I do love you. Show me that you do. Instead, I just don't see your feelings reflected in your actions. He raised the back of his hand to my forehead, checking for a fever. Content with his assessment, he stepped back to look at me up and down, scrutinizing me for more signs of illness. Could it be something subconsciously clouding your judgment toward me? This gives me pause. I think, maybe, he's right. My doubts must have manifested into how I'm seeing and ultimately treating him. I should have done better while he was with me. He stares at me long and hard, unwavering in his gaze. Now be a dear and leave me be. I have work to do. He turned to the papers on his desk, already tuning me out. I silently head for the door leading back into the hallway. I don't like this, man. I don't like this. I do love you, just as much as I trust you. Clearly not enough, it seems. No matter how much I show you, or however many times I tell you, you never... No matter how much I show you, or however many times I tell you, you never... I never what? You never listen. I never listen? Every time you talk, I listen. If I never listen, what do you call what I'm doing right now? Talking down to me, little shit. He thinks he's right, but he's wrong. He only hears what he wants to hear, never attempting to understand. You listen, but you don't comprehend anything I say. He scoffs at my comment. Clearly, he isn't used to me speaking up. For a moment, he seems flabbergasted, fumbling for words. I don't comprehend, because you have nothing of substance to say. He's found his voice, but he still spits out whatever excuse he can grasp. Even when I'm dead, I'll still hear you speak nonsense. But you are dead. Ooh. He takes me long and hard, unwavering in his gaze. Finally he sighs and returns to the papers on his desk. If you have nothing left to say, leave me to my work. He waves me away without so much as a glance. As I head toward the door, he speaks one last time. Be sure to close the door on your way out. I don't need you interrupting me any more than you already have. Finding myself back in the hallway, I head in the only available direction left for me. I don't want to linger on the memories of recent events. The hallway feels much shorter than the first time I came through. Perhaps it stems from knowing the unknown. The framed photos when I first traversed this endless hallway come back into view. I approach the first one. Nursery, never used. The crying continues to haunt me, though not as much as before. Draw closer to the photo, remembering the circumstances which led to this. I said it was my fault. I was the reason for our lack of children, for his lack of someone to carry on his legacy. Since I never conceived there was something wrong with me. Best to not linger on what could have been. I continue to the next framed photo and look up at the woman before me. I'm sorry we've lost so much of our time together. Wish you were with me now to help me pull out of this place. Remember how strong-willed she was. Nothing could faze her. Not this house, not that imposter. Not even my husband. My husband never had anything good to say about her. She will only plague your thoughts with ideas unfit for a woman, let alone a wife. You have to let her go at some point. She won't be with you forever. Have you not heard how the town speaks of her? Why do you think she continues to be unwed? And yet she never let that dictate her life. I wish I was that strong. Turning my back on my friend yet again, I do my best to continue. It's what she would have done. I stopped the last frame before me, The unhappy memories of my wedding night enter my mind. It wasn't long after the reception ended. Our family and friends were still present at the venue. My husband had pulled me aside. Seething through his clenched teeth, he explained just how rude I was being by pointing out a forgotten price tag at the bottom of his parents' gifted wine bottle. Oh God, that was the first time I learned how little he cared to listen to anything I had to say. Fuck, of all the times to learn that. Perhaps I could have responded differently. Be spoken up for myself. Even said nothing at all. If only I knew this is how things would turn out. But when I turn away from the framed photo, the arch of the hallway exit appears before me, as if the house knows I'm ready to move on. I hurry through the archway as quickly as possible, leaving those memories behind for now. Somehow I know this isn't the end of it. Why did that woman bring me here? What could she possibly have to gain from doing this to me? All that pain, all that guilt and resentment, thrown back in my face like it was nothing. Why can't I just be left in peace? You really don't get it yet. Suddenly, she appears before me again, with that odd smile that doesn't look right on her face. My shadow. I'm doing this for you, my dear, so you can finally stop burying your head in the sand. What makes you think I am? He was horrible to me, I know that, but I wasn't a good wife either. I was always questioning him, accusing him. Even when he'd done nothing wrong, I just couldn't stop myself. And why was that, do you think? You're saying he never gave you reason to doubt him. Not a single part of you is glad to be free of his lies. No, Make whatever excuses you want. The sooner you face the truth, the sooner this will all be over. Clearly, you just haven't seen enough. We should fix that. She covers her mouth to give it a mere giggle as she vanishes. And just like that, I'm alone again. But something is wrong. Deep rumbling reverberates beneath my feet, a shiver running up my spine. The air grows heavy and oppressive as the walls are closing in around me. I look around wildly, but there's no sign of the danger that my body is sure is near. What is... Oh, and then I see them, countless shapes pressing themselves against the windows. Some are familiar, some I've never seen before, but all their eyes are on me, rounding on me as if I'm a caged animal. Their whispers permeate the glass, low at first, but soon rising to furiously hurled curses, words I know all too well. Sure, I saw her hide a smile. Probably wanted to keep his money all to herself. Doesn't sound like she actually loved him at all. One voice that I hear above all the others. Thought his wife was gonna kill him. Stop. I'm going to draw into myself, but they won't relent. They don't even seem to notice me there anymore. So wrapped up are they in their hatred. Would she even think that of him? Who does she think she is? Nothing without him, and she knew it. Stop. I open my mouth, but no sound comes out. The voices rise to a fever pitch. Rage shouts and howling taunts so loud they threaten to shatter the glass that holds them. I can barely even hear their words anymore. Greedy. Ungrateful. Faithless. Murderer. Stop! Dead silence falls after my scream. The shadows all swivel to look at me in unison, so they're one body, one mind. But I don't care. You have no idea what you're talking about. None of you, not a single one of you knows what our marriage was really like. And why would you? You never saw what you wanted to see. If you knew the first thing about me, you'd know I would never do this. And I scanned the writhing crowd, and suddenly, there she is, the woman I saw him with. You had something with my husband, didn't you? She tilts her head at me with contempt. Yes, I did, and I'm not ashamed. He helped me through a hard time, but you just had to make it about you. Why shouldn't he and I comfort each other? You never gave him what he needed, even when he did everything for you. I did my best. I may have complained, but I did everything I could for him. Thought that would come up for something, but obviously not. The form shudders and a wicked curved blade appears in her hand. Why can't you just admit that you didn't deserve him? I shake my head and find another shape in the crowd. Her, my oldest friend. But why are you here? I never did anything to you. Didn't you? But once you married that man, you suddenly didn't have time for anyone else. Thought we'd always be friends, but you abandoned me. She bows her head sadly. Why did you do that to me? What did I do wrong? I can't say that. I can't bring myself to say this. He turned me against you. Sorry. He always told me you were a bad influence, and for a long time I believed him. I must have hated how close we were. I think in the end he just wanted me to himself. There's still time, you know. We'd find each other again, someday. Her body sags, as though a great weight has been lifted off her shoulders, and then she's gone. I squeeze my eyes shut. I can't think of that. Not yet. So I find one more shape in the mob. You were his patient, his friend. We did everything together. You never once saw him betray me. If he ever hid anything from you, it's because you were always so paranoid. He couldn't so much as be alone with someone without you biting his head off. He was a good man. You only ever wanted to help people. Why are you so hell-bent on denying that? Never came. I didn't know he said that about me. But whenever we saw each other, you never said 2 words to me either. How could I explain myself if you never bothered to listen? His fist clenches and suddenly there's a razor-sharp pitchfork in his hand. You really can't take responsibility for anything, can you? Enough. Interest. My heart jumps as a sudden voice sits at the top of the staircase. My shadow stands above me, steady and stately as a queen, the crowd dissipating into her presence. Her gaze burns into me with a hot intensity as she descends, stepping into the light. Her body is warped into something grotesque. My dear, I am your truest self. I know your heart inside and out. I know what you're going to do before even you do. You think I don't know stalling when I see it? What do you want from me? I did what you asked. I faced everything you wanted me to face. What else am I supposed to do? She lets out a sigh, as though she's explained this 1,000 times already. I want you to be free, to embrace all the parts of you that he would never let you before, even the part that wants to celebrate. Especially the part that wants to celebrate. You can surrender to your happiness, or you can continue to wallow in your pathetic denial. But don't blame me for what happens when you do. So tell me, once and for all, what's it going to be? She regards me coolly, and somehow I know that everything hinges on what I'm about to say. Take a deep breath, and I answer in the truest way I can think of. It's not that simple. You stand there and tell me that I have to either celebrate the death of a monster or admit that I was everything they said I was. Pathetic, paranoid, a heartless murderer. What if both are true, or neither? We had our problems, and we both had our moments of cruelty. I wasn't always kind to him either. We were human, and we acted as humans do. So yes, in a lot of ways I suppose I'm freer than I was when he was alive. Maybe someday I can learn to find some comfort in that. I will never be happy that he's dead. She's quiet for a long moment until it almost seems like she isn't going to say anything at all. Then, I see. As much as it feels like I didn't do well enough, this feels like a realistic outcome. Something in her relents, and I hear the front door slowly creak open. You can go. Just like that. Just like that. But know this, you don't have me fooled. Freezing your heart is not the same as embracing it. Sooner or later it has to crack. And until that day comes, I'll never be far. She vanishes just as a sliver of dull sunlight reaches her. For a moment, I don't dare move. Only when I'm sure that she's really gone do I turn and head for the door. I stop at the threshold, wondering if I should just take one last look back. But at the end, I can't bring myself to. Take a deep breath and step outside. The woods that put me on edge before are a welcome sight now. It seems as though barely any time at all has passed since I entered the house. As I head back down the path that brought me here, something tells me I'll be able to find my way back to town now. Don't know how I'm going to face my neighbors again, but I'll find a way. I have to. Suddenly the hairs on the back of my neck stand on end as I sense a presence nearby. Strange, garbled noise sounds from somewhere behind me. I whip around, wildly scanning the trees around me. There's nothing. I turn back and soldier on toward town. I know I'm not free of her. Maybe I never will be. But for now, I can just breathe. For now, it's time to go home. I come home after a morning of getting groceries. Everything is just as I left it. I'm still getting used to that. It's been a month since I walked out of that house in the woods. Finding my normal was hard at first, but every day it becomes just a little bit easier. I still have to catch myself sometimes. I'll drop a plate or burn dinner, and I'll chastise myself just as he did. I like to think I'm getting better, but some days I truly wonder if I can do anything right. Whispers in the street have all but died down now. Whether people got bored of the gossip or I simply stopped listening to them, I just can't say. I suppose it doesn't matter much in the end. I haven't seen my shadow since the last time we spoke. Sometimes I spot movements out of the corner of my eye, or someone's laugh sounds just like hers. But it always ends up being my imagination. Deep down, I'm terrified of the day she'll make herself known again. But until then, I do my best to go on living. That has to count for something. Hello, right? I'm always watching, hon. 2 of 3. Yep. That feels spot on. Ooh. Ooh, ooh. So yeah. A very clear sense of the direction this is heading in terms of resolution. And I honestly feel like, in a way, that this is the human realistic outcome. The realistic outcome here. When just freed from an abusive situation. Although there's always the chance that I'm referring to it that way just because that's how I moved on from it. That's just because that's how it was for me. Knowing that you're out of a situation that was smothering and full of constantly walking on eggshells, but still having to catch yourself from putting yourself down or talking to yourself like your abuser talked to you so many times, putting yourself down precisely the same way, internalizing that voice that was fully external for so long. And yeah, it's alright. So in that vein, I feel more comfortable going I feel more comfortable checking out both of their endings now. So it's rewind mode. If we answer all of the internalized answers, we take the pills. We don't talk back. We apologize and whatnot. Perhaps he was right. Best to not linger on what could have been. Perhaps it was for the best that we drifted apart. My husband always told me how much of a bad influence she was. Have you not heard how the town speaks of her? Why do you think no man wants to court her? These are far too wild for women, especially for those who are married. Thinking they should have freedom and the right to vote. Women like me. Walk up to the framed image and reach up for her. Why did you never marry? Though I asked the question, I already know that answer. Her voice echoes in my memory. Being tied to a man will only keep me anchored. I remember how she'd always look to the horizon, excited to see the world beyond, and how whenever she turned back and saw me, she'd flash a smile. But I want to fly. Won't you join me? Her smile was too bright for me. I felt I had to turn away, like I was never strong enough to stand by her side. After all, I knew where I felt comfortable, where I was needed. I belonged. Afraid to see. My husband had pulled me aside to explain just how rude I was being. Pointed out a forgotten price tag at the bottom of a wine bottle gifted by his parents. And he was right. I shouldn't have looked the gift horse in the mouth. Instead, I should have simply accepted the gift and kept a smile on my face. I really was the one who chiseled the first dent in our marriage. I had known better. Oh. My shadow. I'm doing this for you, my dear, so you can finally stop burying your head in the sand. And I see you're still clinging to delusion. Why? Something about her is different now. The air seems to burn and flicker around her, like a photograph that's been thrown in the fire. She's angry. Because you're wrong. I loved my husband. Those were misunderstandings. He only ever wanted what was best for me, and when I assumed the worst of him, he deserved better than that, better than me. How deep are you going to dig this little hole for yourself? The man isn't even here anymore, yet you continue to let him beat you down. If the dutiful wife, fine. Have it your way. If you still refuse to see the truth, I suppose I will have to just, But, oh dearie me. Oh dearie me. Her body warps and slowly stretches upwards, her limbs contorting as she transforms into something inhuman. And then, towering above me, she leisurely pulls back her veil as my heart rises into my throat. Show you everything. I only see her face for a moment, more twisted in nightmares than before. And then she's gone, with only that hateful grin lingering in the air. Just like that, I'm alone again. I really hate to give in to this, but I may not have been able to see it. But he could. He was only protecting me when he told me to stay away from you. I hate that I'm doing this. I'm sorry. I just wish I could have realized sooner how poisonous you were to me. She scoffs, and the glow around her intensifies to form a flame, plucked out of the air on a torch. So the bad answers lead the crowd to take up weapons. And you just believed everything he says, no questions asked? Squeeze my eyes shut. Yep. And this fucker. Take up a pitchfork and... Enough! Shadow's scream echoes through the hall, causing the place to tremble. In a blink, all the furious townspeople disappear. The figure of my shadow appears at the top of the stairs, her feathers pointing outwards, seeming more like blades. When she walks down the steps, though, something begins to change. Oh dearie me, oh dearie me. Oh dearie me, oh dearie me, oh dearie me. Her fingers elongate, becoming sharp like the claws of a feline. Her body contorts forward as multiple thin limbs break through her back. I don't like this. When she finally steps into the light, she yanks her veil away and seats her now beady eyes on me. How pathetic must you be to still fall for those lies?
Perhaps I overestimated you, thinking that we are one and the same.
It's hard to speak. Words stick to my throat as I gaze at her disturbing form. Body can barely move, frozen in place as if I'd been turned to stone. But somehow I managed to utter some words. We are nothing alike.
You may be right, after all. How could I be the same as someone so weak? The way you bend yourself to the will of that man, it makes me want to vomit. I'm so glad we killed him.
I did not.
All the things people say, what if they're right? That you're a cold-blooded murderer, a lunatic. After all, you're so keen on believing them. You're mad. A monster. A worthless wife. But oh, that makes you so sad, doesn't it? Well, I have a proposition for you. You don't have to suffer anymore. After all, no one needs you. I don't need you. So why don't you just die?
Oh dearie me, oh dearie dearie me, oh dearie dearie me, oh dearie dearie me. Before I can react, the monster lunged at me, her sharp fingers wrapping around my throat. I try to grasp for air, but her grip is too tight. Her nails begin digging into my skin, drawing blood.
Stop struggling. Isn't this what a horrible waste of space like you deserves?
I attempt to pull her arms away, my own are quickly stabbed and held down by another pair of spider legs.
No matter how much you reject me, I'm your truest self. Well, there's no need for an imposter like you.
I feel more limbs wrapping themselves around my entire body, making it impossible to move. The more I try to struggle, the more she changes until all her prior resemblance to a human has vanished. In the end, I have stopped trying. I'm aware there's never been any use in fighting back. Why would I do so now? Warm liquid spills down my neck and torso. My body falls limp as the will to move disappears from my mind. My consciousness begins to fade. The last thing I see is her mouth wide open. Whew. Whew, whew, whew. Yeah. Something internalized self-destruction. God, that's fucking hurt. That hurts.
See.
No, let's instead of dwelling on how much that hurts to see her fall so bloody far, let's fight back. The best you could do is not embarrass me in front of my patients. I haven't done anything. But I haven't done anything to... I'm not looking for excuses. I will give you another chance this time, since I'm feeling generous. I need to find out more. I have no idea what's happening here. Perhaps I'm going mad, but I need to find out more. I face my husband, who seems to be awaiting an answer from me. But as I'm about to speak, his figure, as well as those of the villagers, disappears into thin air. How? I realize then that it's useless to ask anything out of the empty air. My eyes fall upon the door once more. Perhaps inside I can learn what's truly happening here. Alright, let's go. Implying I killed him. I'd never have done that. Things weren't always perfect, but that's normal in any relationship. Losing him hurt the whole town. It hurt me. I'm nothing like you. How can I not worry? He's right. This is part of his job. But how can I not worry upon finding him in a position as questionable as that? Now let's go with the more assertive option. Exactly. I'm your wife, not that hussy. Once again, he's not wrong, but that is why these thoughts crossed my mind. I am his wife. Is this not how a wife would react? And now, speak up. I always do. I know how to respond, but I can't hold my tongue any longer. When my husband was alive, I always cleaned. Every day. He just never cared enough to notice. You should spend less time eavesdropping and more time taking care of our home. I often wished there was a way to show him just how much I did for us. I don't have time to oversee both my own work and that of my wife. Do you ever take into account how tired I am at the end of my day? I do. I always do. Oh. Something continues to eat away at me. His words and their dismissive nature give me pause. Yes, keep thinking. The more I speak my mind, the more I feel myself shake. I know I need to power through. Yes. Feel it. She can't have so much ailing her that she can simply visit whenever she pleases.
Drop it! Now! I wonder, do you not see that I am devoted to you?
Yes, I am seeing it so much. Recoil at his outburst. His face turns monstrous, almost otherworldly, like my shadow. I can't bear to look at him.
Do not see how much I do for us, and here you are accusing me of outrageous things while you laze around, doing absolutely nothing.
You fucking bastard. You fucking bastard. No pills. I know my mind is not failing me. I know what I saw. Stand my ground, making it known that I do not plan on ingesting any more of his medicine. Alright. We have seen this option before, but alas. I am only this way when we're together. No one else pushes me to my limit quite like you. Talk back. You've changed. You weren't always like this. I'm only telling you these things because I love you. Why must you continue to question me? What I do? How I am? If you truly loved me as much as I loved you, you'd let me be. You trust me. Just as much as I trust you to take care of our home in my absence. I love you as much as I trust you. I do love you. Just as much as I trust you.
Clearly not enough, it seems.
No matter how much I show you, however many times I tell you, you never...
I never what?
You never listen.
I never listen? Every time you talk, I listen. If I never listen, what do you call what I'm doing right now?
He thinks he's right, but he's wrong. He only hears what he wants to hear, never attempting to understand. You listen, but you don't comprehend anything I say. He scoffs at my comment. Clearly he isn't used to me speaking up. Or he seems flabbergasted, fumbling for words.
I don't comprehend because you have nothing of substance to say.
He's found his voice, but he still spits out whatever excuse he can grasp.
Even when I'm dead, I'll still hear you speak nonsense.
But you are dead. He stares at me long and hard, unwavering in his gaze.
I bet you'd like that, wouldn't you? Anyway, I can't talk to you when you're like this.
He roughly grabs my arm and pushes me toward the door leading back to the hallway. I don't struggle against his grasp. After all, what's the point when I now finally see a crack in his words?
Leave me to my work.
I don't need you interrupting me any more than you already have. We're getting through it. We're getting through it. We're breaking the hold that he had over us. The crying doesn't haunt me as much as it did before. He always said that it was my fault that he never had someone to carry on his legacy. I guess he doesn't have to worry about that anymore. Oh, taking a step closer, I raise my hand to the photo. I'm glad I never had you. It saved you from having to experience this world. From having to experience him. Things always happen for a reason. And this was probably for the best. Whew. better to not be born and raised under a scumbag like that. Wish you were with me now. Don't pull me out of this place. You would have known what to do, what to say against him. Remember how strong-willed she was. Nothing could faze her. Not even my husband. Now that I think about it, my husband never had anything good to say about her.
She will only plague your thoughts with ideas unfit for a woman, let alone a wife.
Her ideas were always grand, like traveling and exploring the world.
Have you not heard how the town speaks of her?
Why do you think she continues to be unwed? She often said a man would only hold her back.
You have to let her go at some point. She won't be with you forever. That's what I'm here for. To care for and protect you.
You only protected me from seeing the world, and from the world seeing me. I chuckled to myself. Maybe when we grew apart, that's where she went. Around the world. Experiencing things I could only dream of. All on her own. The last words she spoke to me come trickling back. Come, my friend. We can travel the globe together. Just the two of us. Away from those who insist on dictating how we live our lives. I wish I had followed you.
Ooh.
He'd pulled me aside after following me to the restroom. Seething through his clenched teeth, he accused me of embarrassing him in front of our loved ones. That I had called his family cheap, that I was too materialistic, that I was unappreciative of what they had given. I only pointed out that his parents' gifted bottle of wine still had its price tag tacked to the bottom. That was the first time I learned how little he cared to listen to anything I had to say. He simply continued to scold me as if he was in love with hearing his own voice. Only I knew then what I know now. That I should have run. Immediately when he found it in himself to talk to his wife, who he's supposed to love like that. You don't do that. You don't fucking do. Why did that woman bring me here? Did you possibly have to gain from doing this to me? That pain, all that guilt and resentment thrown back in my face like it was nothing. Why can't I just be left in peace? You really don't get it yet. Hello? I'm doing this for you, my dear, so you can finally stop burying your head in the sand. This time it's actually effective. I'm beginning to see the light, but it's not enough. Oh no, it's not nearly enough yet. You're enjoying this, aren't you? Forcing me to relive the things I've been through, the things he did to me. Tell me something. If you really are me, why do you want to watch me suffer? Because, darling, your strength is my strength. The truth will set you free and all that, but it can't very well do that if you don't face it. And what truth is that? She lets out a giggle and taps the side of her face conspiratorially before vanishing once again, her voice still echoing in my ears. You'll see. Just like that, I'm alone again. Oh, you beautiful. He was never satisfied. It would have mattered even if I gave him everything I had. Nothing I did was ever good enough for him. To say that I drove him to you is nothing but an excuse. Keep telling yourself that. Nothing about her seems to deflate, and she melts away into the masses. Oh, her. She turned me against you. Yep. I'm sorry, he always told me you were a bad influence, and for a long time I believed him. I must have hated how close we were. I think in the end he just wanted me to himself. There's still time, you know. We could find each other again someday. Body sags, although a great weight has been lifted off her shoulders, and then she's gone. There it is, yep. You enabled him. Of course, why didn't I see it before? He kept you around because you always covered for him, and your friendship meant you never questioned him either. I wonder, did you even know what he was really doing on all those nights when he used you as an excuse to not come home?
You've got me all wrong. I never meant to.
But the shameful shifting of his stance tells me all I need to know. He withdraws into himself and then vanishes into the crowd. That's quite enough, darling. Uh-oh. Most familiar voice to me in the world, yet my heart jumps all the same. It's just my instinct to look away and follow his voice up to the top of the staircase to meet his eyes. But... Oh no. The figure that stands before me is no bigger than my husband. The malice that radiates from his body seems to stretch all the way to the ceiling. No, even higher than that. To the sky. No matter how hard I focus, I can't seem to see him in any detail. It's like I'm staring at a blind spot in my vision. A spot of nothingness. He appears at me from afar, from a face enshrouded in darkness, his head tilted at an odd angle, as though his neck is broken. It looks nothing like him, but somehow I know it is. This really is getting tiresome. Don't you think it's time to drop this silly little charade? He takes a menacing step down the stairs, and I'm suddenly aware that I'm completely alone with him. I refuse to relent. Not now. There he is. That's all you want. That's all you know how to do, isn't it? Treat my pain like an inconvenience every time I get too uppity. Shut me down over and over again until I don't see the point in getting up anymore. Well, call it whatever you want. This isn't a game and I'm not playing. He draws in a breath, deep and shuddering like a death rattle. It takes me a moment to realize that he's laughing. Much fire. Where was this backbone when we were married? Perhaps if he hadn't been so useless, I wouldn't have had to. No, you don't get to turn this around on me anymore. Preach, preach. You never wanted a wife, you wanted a doll, a mindless little nothing, always at your beck and call, who never got angry or talked back. You never once questioned anything you did, because the truth was so obvious that one look was all it took. One look to see that you were the pathetic one. Preach, preach, preach. His form bristles with a palpable anger, but I can't stop. Words keep flooding out of me, a torrent finally breaking through a dam. All your hatred, your sadness, your apathy. You were too much of a coward to face any of it, so instead you put it all on me. So desperate were you to feel like a man that you endlessly beat down on someone who you knew would never fight back. And you were perfectly willing to let the whole town think that I was the problem too, that I would even kill you. Well, congratulations. You were so convincing that it took you dying for me to see that you were never anything more than a broken, empty... I don't see him move. In the blink of an eye, he's gone from the stairs to inches away from my face. Up close, his head is an ugly, writhing mass of shadows, his eyes a furious blaze. How dare you! I feel the air go out of my lungs. His very presence is so cold, so suffocating that being this close to him is like plunging into freezing water. I have lived horrors that you can't even begin to imagine. I was a hero. I earned my place in heaven 1,000 times over. And all I asked for in return was peace and quiet, a loving wife, a family. But you couldn't even give me that. That you sat there, day after day, moaning about how unfair it all was. Are you an idiot? I didn't have to give you the world. I chose to. And I can take it all away just as easily. The dark tendrils close around me and squeeze. Spots squirm in my vision as I begin to fade. This is it. Can't even scream. Can only gasp for air that doesn't come. And then, somewhere in the quietest part of my mind, I hear her. Is that it? Come on, don't give up on me now. You feel it too, don't you? Why he's so desperate. He's afraid. Of you. Of me. Of us. Use it. Yes. Something in me flares to life and my hand shoots out of its own accord to seize him by the jaw, forcing him to look at me. Wind whips all around me, sending the tendrils shrinking back. For a moment I see it in his eyes. Fear. I don't think so. He struggles against the force holding him in place, but it's no use. He spits out another hoarse laugh, teeth gnashing in fury. You really think you've won? Doesn't matter what happens here. You're nothing without me, and you always will be. Nothing but my poor, wretched widow who could never... My name is Hilda. Yes! The wind rises to a fever pitch, threatening to engulf him entirely, but I don't let it. Not yet. Instead, I hold my shadow at bay as I pull him close. And you will never speak my name again, because you're dead, and I'm not. Now go to hell where you belong. I plunge my other hand to his chest where his heart should be and twist. He gives a final enraged howl before the wind cuts him to ribbons. When there was once a cloud of impenetrable darkness, suddenly there's just me. And her. Well, that was exciting. I'd only give her a tired laugh in response. I know I have nothing to fear from her now. Somehow, it feels silly that I ever did. Not the celebration you were expecting? No. It was even better. So, what's next for us? I'm going to go home and take a bath and get the best sleep I've had in years. And then, we're going to live. Sounds like a plan. She vanishes, her echoing laugh reverberating in my own chest. Take a moment to breathe, slowly in, slowly out, before turning to leave. Golden sunlight streams in through the door that creaks open at my approach. I stop at the threshold, taking one last look at this strange house in the woods before stepping out into the fresh air. There's so much that went unsaid, so many wounds scarred over that I know won't heal overnight. I have all the time in the world for that. For now, it's time to go home. Man, I'm glad. I'm so glad. Not me getting emotional. I am getting emotional over this. I'm so glad. Oh my gosh. Take back your life, Hilda. Fuck yeah. Show that fucker who's... Oh. Give that fucker the he deserves. You did not kill him, but here. You killed his shadow, who still held a tight grip over your heart, and I'm fucking proud of you, Hilda. Fuck yes. Oh, that was... That was an incredible... That was an incredibly cathartic ending. Oh man. Considering, it started out immediately giving me signs that she has long suffered through abuse and very thoroughly internalized it, to getting to this house in the woods reflection of her own soul and experiencing the husband's true behavior firsthand, seeing how he fucking conducts himself. And man, if you have ever known someone who has talked to you the way he talked to her, I'm so sorry. Know that you are loved and supported, and you are not who they said you were. You are not who they tried to tell you were in order to blame you for the way they treated you. I hope you know that. I hope you fucking know that, because... God damn. Because even now, there's still some days where that still creeps back into my mind. There's still some days that creeps back into my mind. That feeling of... That feeling of, something awful being done to you, and then the person who did it to you apologizing, and yet in the same breath blaming you for making him do that to you. It's fucking gut-wrenching. Blaming you for making him do that to you. It's fucking gut-wrenching. And that sticks with you. You really do internalize it the way that Hilda was. You really do. It just... I know I said when I first got that ending, I came out of it the way she came through ending 2. Free, but not truly free. And this ending 3, it's the dream level of catharsis that at some point we need in order to stand up for ourselves and believe in ourselves. Find that strength to carry ourselves forward. It all... And I think that ending 2 is the most human, realistic ending, because it's never going to be a perfect straight line, even if you get that moment of realization, actualization, to face up to it and free yourself of that. I can't imagine there won't be times when that creeps back into your mind on occasion, but it doesn't make you any less of a survivor, and doesn't make you any worse for having bad days and having those thoughts creep back into your mind. But you are fucking strong, and you will pull back and stand up again. I believe in you. I'm just... God, that... This is good. Game's good. Game's good. Thank you so much for that. That was... beautiful. Beautifully put together. In all shape and form. Beautifully written. Beautiful art. Beautiful art. The sprites were wonderfully expressive. And music's beautiful as well. And that story. Gee, in case you couldn't tell, that story hit home for a little bit. So, I'm gonna just go have an emotional moment to myself, and I hope you enjoyed this playthrough. I certainly did. This has been The Widow's Shadow. This has been The Widow's Shadow. Thank you for watching. Take care of yourselves. Until next time, until then.